writing this speech, I went back and forth on whether to write or just wing it. I mean, after 20 years of being so close with somebody, I figured it'd be super easy just to be silly and reminisce like we always do. But this is different than me and Sojo just talking on the phone on one of our regular phone calls in the middle of the day while she's supposed to be working. I totally just couldn't wing it and forget something from my nerves or excitement. So I decided to write this. So, although we're cousins, we actually weren't introduced until my granny and aunt took one of their mini trips back here to Lexington to visit the family when I was about 9. We lived in Detroit at the time. But this time, they had brought back someone with them. This big-haired, rambunctious girl who they told me was my cousin and would be living with them now. Initially, many jealous thoughts popped in my mind. I'm not gonna lie. One of the main ones was that she's gonna get all my Christmas gifts now. But those thoughts quickly subsided when I realized that now I had someone my age to play with, and I didn't have to run behind my older sister and her friends. I had a new partner in crime. And when I say crime, I mean it. I mean, not like real crimes, but like kid crimes. You know, like riding over to the other side of town in Detroit when you're 10, not telling anybody where you're at when your grandma's there to pick you up from school, so everybody's looking for you, they're about to call the police, and we're on the other side of town on our bikes. So those kind of kid crimes. I didn't know these experiences were shaping us into the now unbreakable bond that we have. It seemed like the end of the world at the time, all the trouble we could imagine we were going to get into. But now I know it happens for a reason. So, with age, I think we've both grown so much, learned many lessons, had many fights and many makeup. But to many people's surprise, our bond has remained unbreakable. In my adult life, I think one of the most important things I've come to realize is that everything in our lives happened for a reason, and exactly how they're supposed to. There are not any mistakes made in our journeys. The failures, the successes, the experience, welcomed and unwelcomed, the relationships, it all has a divine purpose. And our our relationship is no different. Out of the hundreds of people we have in our family, it was no coincidence that you were the one that my granny and my aunt brought to Detroit to experience one of the most defining times of my life. There's no coincidence you became to be the ambitious, driven woman in deciding to travel the world, becoming the nomadic lady that we all know. That's all no coincidence. But you also inspired me not to be afraid to explore. And you inspired me to take my first trip out of the U.S. to see you. Well, St. Croix isn't technically out of the U.S., but it was my first time seeing you. Like, hey, St. Croix people, I remember y'all. Man, that was like 9-10 years ago. Yeah, but anyways, you've always inspired me, and out of everything that we've been through, I just want you to know that. But there's also no coincidence that you ended up in that random city in the Netherlands. What's it called again? Leiden? Leiden, okay, yeah, that's it. There's no coincidence. And there's no coincidence that you fell in Daan's arms at that quote-unquote concert. I believe that everyone comes in our lives are meant to help us in our journey to become the best versions of ourselves we're meant to be. And it's clear with you and Daan's relationships, he's that for you. You always had a soft place in your heart when it came to helping others. I've seen you stick up for people who are not. I've seen you stick up for people who are not able to fight themselves. Speak out for those who had no voice, like in Greece. The way you were effortlessly leading a team of doctors with no medical experience to help Syrian refugees, children, mothers, and all those in between who had no voice. The passion you had and the hurt I saw when some things were not working, it made you feel sad. But it also made me feel sad but proud to call this selfless person my best friend. We know the truth is, but we know the truth. You would not have really been able to make the impact you did if you had not had a strong, understanding partner behind you like Daan, pushing you, supporting you, and putting his feelings on the back burner to see you happy and pursue your dreams. I don't know about you guys, but any guy that can let his lady leave the country and leave him with all the responsibilities for 4 months is a winner in my books. And shout out to my boyfriend, because he actually let me leave for 10 months. But anywho, I know this speech is getting a little long, so let's wrap up. Today we stood here and watched you guys take vows. To have and to hold, till death do you part. But one thing I'd just like to add to that, if I can. I hope you guys vow to never stop seeing the love and light in one another. Through the ups and downs, the fights, and all of that. Daan, when Sojo is being difficult and outspoken, ranting, as we know she can, don't forget the love in her. The love that would make her give up a job opportunity, one of her dream jobs, to go and help refugees in Greece with no pay or recognition. Sojo, don't forget the amazing partner that you have in Daan. Someone who is willing to support, encourage you in all your endeavors, although it may be totally different than his own profession and may be out of the norm for him. Never forget that. So here are Brittany's 4 jewels, if I can give to you guys. I'll type them up too, if you want to put them on your refrigerator. Number 1, don't forget everything in life happens to help you grow into the best version of yourself. You guys were put together to become the best versions of yourself. Daan bringing out the best of you, and you bringing out the best of him. Number 2, don't ever stop forgiving each other. When things seem rough, and when you're bent on your ideas and being right, just don't stop forgiving each other, you know? There's always understanding. Number 4, and the most important, don't ever stop loving and being loving to one another. I wish you guys much happiness, love, and positive light, and everything. I love you guys both. And I'm happy to have you as my new brother, best friend, I don't know, whatever. Cousin, something, you're a part of the family. I love you guys.
One of these bears approached us. And as you know, bears are not supposed to approach us. So we got a little bit scared. But yeah, well, he came close. He came very close. And then he said hi. Well, for you it may sound strange, a talking bear, but I'm a medievalist. So yeah, for me, I'm used to animal stories, fables. For me, a talking bear, that's business as usual. So I said, good afternoon, pleased to meet you. And the bear said, I like your accent. Where are you from? I said, well, I'm from the Netherlands. We're hiking here in the mountains because we like that. Said the bear, that's very, very, very strange. I know from colleagues in Europe that you have the Alps, you have the Pyrenees. Why do you cross the ocean? I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot something. I said, by the end of August, we have to be here in, we have to be in Lexington at the wedding of my son. He said, Lexington, oh, that's a cute town. I said, no, there's a misunderstanding. It's not Lexington, Virginia, it's Lexington, Kentucky. Oh, no, he said. They're obsessed with horses there. No. I said, yeah, all right. Never mind. But I'm interested in your son, he said. Can you tell me something? Tell me something about this youth, for example. Well, yeah, what can I tell? He was quite ambitious little fellow. I've two anecdotes about that. One, at the age of 8 or something like that, at the dinner table, he found out that if you wrote a PhD, you could add the title doctor to your name. After a couple of days, he came back with a drawing showing what his future was, and he was going to write a PhD in economics, in mathematics, and that would allow him to be called Dr. Daan. Wow. Another aspect of his ambition was rather economical. At the same time, he was 8, and he biked home together with a friend of his, and I was biking behind them. So, and they were talking about their future. And the friend said, well, he wanted to do something, some sort of profession. And then Daan said, well, that's very interesting. But the main thing is, what does it earn? 8 on the bike. So now you know why he chose his study econometrics. That's a good story. The black bear said, what else is there to tell? It's not a typical thing. I think, well, he was rather adventurous. So at the age of 17, he went together with a friend of his to Tokyo, the two of them, without any help. They spent 2 weeks in Tokyo. They couldn't even book a hotel in advance because they didn't have a credit card. He was adventurous. He went with me to Italy. He went with me to Ireland. We went to New York. In Italy, we went to the Abruzzi mountains, and we also went to Rome. And there, suddenly, he wanted to have our travel guide. He confiscated the travel guide. And then, and he said, well, I'm going to show us around the Vatican, the museums, etc., etc. And I soon found out that there was a list behind this all. He had found out that there was a schedule of the most famous ice cream shops in Rome. And he noted them all, and he took a route from one museum to the next museum, but always passing one of these ice cream shops. Hey Dad, what a coincidence! There's another ice cream shop. That was the trick. In Ireland, evening time was pub time. We went to the pub, we drank beer, we played chess. But the guy was only 17 and a half. So in Europe it's 18 before you can drink alcohol. So he was not allowed to drink alcohol. Nevertheless, I asked him immediately, of course, to go to the counter and order beers. He had his ID with him, and he waved it to the waiter, always, showing only his year of birth, not the month, not the day, and he only failed once, and of course then we had to leave the pub immediately, only once. The bear said, that is a good story, I like that. He's easy going, that guy. I said, yeah, he's easy going. Well, I'm very, very proud of him for being social, for being friendly, for being apathetic. That's really wonderful. And in that context, I also have something to tell you, except to the black bear and not to you, of course. And the black bear said, well, I would like to hear that. Well, the following story. When he was 8, something like that, 10, it was the first time that he met my wife's mother. At that time she was around 95, 96 or something like that. Very, very little. And at that time, Daan was already quite tall. So he approached her, rather embarrassed what to do with this very little woman. And then he did a very, very moving thing. He dropped to his knees, extended a hand and said, hello, Grandma. I'm Daan. He was rewarded with a big kiss, as you can imagine. And now the second thing, of course, is that proves his social knowledge, so to say, is all his friends from Europe who are here now across the ocean to attend his wedding. Ah, the wedding, the black bear said. Okay, tell me something about the wedding. Last thing I want to hear. Is there something peculiar about the wedding? Yes, I said. 2 things about the wedding. First, the bride. The bride. The bride. No, I do it the American way. The bride is a very lovely, intelligent, social and enterprising young woman whom I love very much. Good. I said to the bear, right? I said to the bear. And the second element, he said, or you was getting curious, yeah, the dress code. The dress code. What is it? What's about the dress code? The black bear said. The dress code is white. The bear said, oh, that's horrible. You may know. You know. Yeah, well, you can imagine. Oh no. Black is beautiful. The black bear said, yeah, I know. And the bride is the best proof of the correctness of the statement. But you have to see that in a symbolical way. It means something like purity or whatever. Ah, said the bear, well, I'm too much down to earth for this sort of things. I'll leave it to that. No. And by the way, this is the end of our conversation also. I have to move. And then the bear disappeared. But before he left, he said, wish the young couple all the luck of the world. So, dear Sojourn, dear Daan, on behalf of the black bear, your parents, your brothers and sisters, your other family members, all your friends here, I wish you a blissful marriage.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5.
Because this guy, as you all know, has a lot of energy. He has a lot of energy. When he started to study in Amsterdam, he came living with me in Rotterdam because that was more fun. He didn't mind the daily commute. At least he did mind it, as he complained about it daily. But it was always with a joke, as we know him. As another example, when my other housemate, Oze, would like to be here, but he couldn't make it. But he's here with you. Would skip university just to sit in the garden or at the terrace. Daan would get up at 6 in the morning, wear one of his 10 suits to go to university. No joke, he was wearing a suit to university. He would talk with some company later, that's why he was wearing the suit, he would say, to get funding for his student club. Then after that he would go to tennis in Utrecht, another city, so he was logistically very smart. Then he would have dinner with some friend, a girl, whatever. And then in the evening, sorry, Joe. And then in the evening, he would join us, because of course, we were still there on the terrace. He would say, only a few beers. Because, of course, he was not free the next morning, he had a tennis match. But, as you all know, Daan loves a good company, so a few beers ended up getting us at 5 or 6 in the morning, getting home completely wasted. And of course, we were having the biggest fun, because we would know his alarm would go in 1 hour to go to the tennis match. But, as you will all imagine, he did go. He would probably lose the match, but that didn't matter to him, because he would still be having a good time, and he would be laughing at everyone on the tennis court, because they were so sober, and weren't enjoying life as he was doing. Now, luckily, this is one of the things that doesn't change. When we took our flight to Toronto 2 weeks ago, I called him in the morning to ask which train he was having. Now by his voice, I already knew he had a rough night. And I doubted if he had slept at all. So when I met him and Robert John at the airport, well, they both didn't look really fresh, but alright. The first thing Daan did, of course, was order 3 pints to toast on a great trip. And of course, the black circles around his eyes were ever present. But on a more serious note, throughout the years I have seen him change. He used to have, and I'm not kidding, Sojourn, this is true, around 6 pairs of Prada shoes. He was what you Americans probably would call a shopaholic. And I'm only talking about the most expensive designer brands. I even heard you, yeah, it's true, Sojourn. I even heard you complain the other day that he was wearing clothes with holes in it. Now, I almost didn't believe it, it's unthinkable. But the other thing about Daan is, when he was a bit younger, he used to make fun of everything and everyone. So if you wanted to hear an inappropriate joke, you had to talk to Daan. He didn't discriminate though, he treated everyone equally bad. This meant he would make jokes about his girlfriends with everyone present as if they were one of his friends. So if you imagine, those relationships never lasted long. Before I wrote this speech, I contacted some people to see if there was some stuff I did not know about him. Now, one person, and this is funny, mentioned how years ago he got offered some sort of Harry Potter closet to live in, while Daan was having the 3 other rooms in the apartment in Amsterdam. Apparently, this person would have been allowed to visit the living room if he asked. To give you the contrast, when we had only 2 beds available in some crappy motel along the Canadian highway, Daan immediately offered to sleep on the floor. An offer we of course gladly accepted. Someone else also sent me a quite emotional story I'd like to share. I knew this story, but I did not know the scale of this. So, as it happens, Sojourn, and I'm very sorry to tell you this, there's one person with whom Daan had, and I quote, "More romantic dinners by candlelight than you have ever had in all those years that you have been together." And you say, that can't be true. But this person even has sent me a photo as a proof. It shows Daan in the middle of at least 20 candles, cooking dinner on request for this very special person. Now, of course, Daan will say that this had something to do with the power failure, but we all know the truth. Because the truth, everyone, is what makes Daan so special. He's a very good person. For the people knowing the books of Roald Dahl, they named the big friendly giant after Daan. He's caring, super loyal, and will go through great lengths to help a friend in need, as many of his friends, including myself, have experienced already. This combined with his everlasting enthusiasm, energy, and sense of humor make him not only a very good friend, but also someone you'd like to be around in general. For you, Sojourn, I can honestly say that I've never seen him treat a woman the way he treats her. When you met him in the Netherlands, I hadn't spoken with him for quite some time, I think at least a year. But when he first told me about you, I knew something was different about this. I think this was, he was a bit nervous to tell us about you. Because I think it really mattered what his friends would think of you. Only a little later, you guys moved to London, but I think he would have gone anywhere to be with you. In Chicago, we already found a nice place because I heard that's next on your list. But all jokes aside, I don't think there's anything in the world he would not do to make you happy. Now I wish you everything I wish for myself, health, love and happiness. And Daan, make sure we can hear you laugh wherever you're gonna live. Now let's enjoy this wedding.